Alright, so I made this piece. It's just a straight piece of metal. We're going to make this piece here. We're just going to rough it in for now so that we know what we got. So I need to push it up here and I need to get this radius. So I'm kind of just eyeballing what I got here. Doesn't have to be perfect yet, because we're going to cut that and then trim it some more as the first step, and then we'll bend the tabs back. Okay, so now we've got a little bit better fit in there. Looks like we need to trim it back in here, or maybe just a little more down here. All right. That's pretty close right there. So now, this is about an inch, this tab. So we're gonna come back roughly an inch and make us some tabs to go in there. And then we'll start marking where our ribs are in this panel and where our two openings are down here, once we get the tabs bent over. I'm just running my finger along the edge here, you know, like that, while I was holding the pin steady to get us the arc that we need. And then what we'll do is come in, and we know we have a bend at the bottom that's going to be roughly about 3/4 of an inch or so. So we can do the same thing there. Get our finger on there and hold steady with the pin, and then just make your mark. And it doesn't have to be exact, but it needs to be pretty straight. But when we go to bend it, we'll keep it pretty straight. We'll put that in the brake and bend that up. All right, so I'm going to go at an angle here so I have some space in that corner when we bend these tabs over. And we're just going to make some basic tabs here that we can bend with pliers. And I'm going to go just shy of my line with each of these tabs. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be close, because you're going to tap it around with a hammer and bend it with some pliers to get it where we want it. And none of these panels are going to show to the naked eye unless they take interior panels off when we're done. They'll show in my video when we're putting them together. And some of this is going to get trimmed off too. So we have to have it fitting good to get the holes that go in here and the ribs that go up for the strength. We have to have all this fit good first. So all that has to be bent and fitted in beforehand. Got a rock or something in my glove. So we're just going to take right on the edge. I want to be just shy of my red line. And I'm just doing this with a pair of lineman pliers. You can do it with whatever you have. And again, these don't have to be absolutely perfect. They need to be close, but we can massage them with the hammer here in a little bit. You can kind of see the gentle curve that's in there, and that was just a couple of minutes. And this will end up going up against that fender well, and then you have some weld tabs here. We'll take and we'll drill some holes in here for plug welding, because I can't get my spot welder to that spot. And then again, this bottom piece here, we'll tip it up to make our bottom. And then we should be able to fit it in there pretty close. Pretty darn close. Space is at a premium in my shop right now, because I have 2 full-on car builds. We'll bring this over to the corner. Take your time and get your marks lined up on your brake edge where you want the brake. And I know if I get to both ends, this is really straight, so that'll make the brake right where we want it, how we want it. Boom. Now we have a brake. Nice clean line. And then that allows me to fit this piece kind of how we want it. Alright, so I need to cut these tabs off right here, so that I can get this piece all the way back for us to be able to line up our marks here for where these ribs need to be. So that's the next step, is to get this cut out so that it's not pushing on us and we can get it in there exactly where we need it. Now we got it pushed back as far as it'll go. We know where our corner's going to be. These will get bent back down some, which means that we can mark these tabs now. Not tabs, but the body line where the ribs need to be in the body. So this is our outside edge, which is what we want to mark. And we'll go ahead and mark the inners also. And I'm holding pressure back to keep it where it needs to be. All right. And then we have outer edges of our circle here and right there, and we'll use the dimensions of this one to find the other side, and we'll set them based off of the other side. Okay, so we're going to use this piece that we had, because there's some pieces we're going to have to make in it still. This little tab here, I'll have to figure out how to make that in there, but we should be able to do it fairly easily. Okay. That is a 5-inch outer circle, 4.5-inch inner. So from here. This is going to be important later when we are trying to find the center of the openings. So I'm going to go ahead and mark where I believe they are. Since I know this is a nice true straight line in the car and that everything should be aligned off of it, I can mark my ribs, I can mark my circle centers, all with a simple square. And we're just going to freehand the circle here. Poorly. Just so we know where those go. Center, center. And I have some press bucks made to be able to press those into the metal. And we'll have to do some stretching on the metal to make it all line up after we've pressed those in. But what we'll do, we'll cut the centers out with the nibbler and get pretty close. Now we need to mark our edges here. For our ribs. We're going to stop this one about here. You'll see why all these marks are important in a few minutes. We're going to take this one down deeper because it was right about the top of the circles on the other side. Okay. I'm going to set it in and double check, make sure. So we know that this needs to be back here. So that's about where this is going to live. And as you can see, my lines are clean and straight. They squared off of this bottom line. And these holes will get cut out and pressed in as well. And then this will make the perfect patch panel for what was there. Now I made some 3D printed press bucks. Some time ago, you may have seen them in my 3D printing stuff. Basically, this is going to go underneath right here like so. This one will go on top and push down and make that. It'll make this depression into the metal. So we're going to end up having to pre-stretch some of this area in here and here and there. This right here, not so much. We'll cut the centers out, and this press buck will go in there. This will go underneath. This will go on top and press the ribs in. I 3D designed those and printed them with just some leftover filament from another thing. These were some kid toys that I've printed with that. All right. So we want to make some marks where we want this to be. So that one should be able to butt completely to the end for this piece, which means the top would butt into there. And for this one, two should be pretty close to each other. But for this one, we're going to mark where the edge of the metal is. We're going to call that front. And then this one, call rear. That way we know which mark to line up to. And we'll go ahead and set this up and transfer our marks over. if you have a 3D printer and you have some design know-how, you can make things like this pretty quick and easy. I think I spent 30 minutes in the design studio to design that, and a couple hours to print it on my printer, but it probably cost me $5 at the most, not counting my time. And that makes it where I can just put these together, set it in a press those in. Okay, so I drilled a hole in a press buck and put a bolt in there just to help center it and keep everything in line while we're pressing. So let's kind of see how this works. I haven't tried this yet on this one with these pieces, so we're going to see if it's worth the flip. But having that alignment pin in there to help align it should help tremendously. So we're going to have to do some stretching around here and some stretching up here. I probably need to pre-stretch all of this, but we'll do it the old-fashioned way. So what I got it in the shrinker stretcher. This is where one of those deep throats of a stretcher comes in good and handy. So we're going to stretch this metal out just a little bit at a time. And as you can see, it's kind of taking the wrinkle out. So we'll do the same thing here. Sometimes you gotta give them a little tweak. That one says stretch, or shrink, not stretch actually. We're gonna have to tap that back down with a hammer. Be right back. Now as we shrink it, it'll start tightening back up again. And it doesn't really take a whole lot of this. Well, it does take some. But just a little shrinking and stretching. This side was stretched to get it to lay in. I'm not going to worry about trying to get this back straight, because when I press this in, it's going to tuck more of that in. Same thing with this one. We'll have to stretch this whole section and that whole section, and we'll have to press this the second time, stretch it some more. We're going to go ahead and give this a little extra stretch in here. All right. We'll get the next set of press dies. A lot of crackling from that press die. It's splitting a little bit, but it's still got the general shape in there that I need. That was only a 15% infill. If you know anything about printing, that's not much. All right, so we need to shrink this side and stretch that side. That's going to be fun. We'll have to stretch this with the hammer. Okay, so I pre-stretched this one down to here, and this one as much as I feel comfortable with. We'll try and press these little ribs in and keep moving. And then we'll beat it all back straight, stretch and shrink to get it back nice and straight looking. We're gonna start with the center one, but I'm not taking it to here. We're gonna come down about that far, I think. Actually, no, I think I'm gonna start with the two ends. All right, here goes nothing. Well, that didn't work at all. So my press buck came apart. No worries. So the last time that I attempted this, my 3D printed press buck was not strong enough. I didn't have enough infill, so I printed a new one. This one's got 3 times the infill that one had, so let's see if that makes it any stronger to press these circles into this metal patch panel. Pushed in a little better. We'll cut the center out to make it just like it should be. Let's get the other side pushed down in here some more. Yeah, so that's a much cleaner circle now, and no damage to the form. But those pressed in really nicely. So again, here's the form. No damage to this one. And as you can see, it pushed the rib in there that we were wanting. So now I can do these ends. And there's that one. So now we just need to do some shrinking here, some shrinking across here, and across here to get rid of those ripples, and a little shrinking right down here, and that panel will be dressed up. So we're going to run this through the shrinker a little to tighten it up and square it back up. That'll take care of some of the issues. That looked like this right here. Over here I won't be able to do that because the throat on my shrinker is not deep enough to get back there. I can get close. But we're going to work this through a few of these areas here as far as we can. Pay attention to what this looks like here in just a minute. This is what a shrinker stretcher is made for. This stuff right here. And the deeper the throat, the further you can get in there and shrink. You notice I didn't pull or twist or any of that. I'm just working the foot pedal here, shrinking the metal up around this. And it leaves marks on the metal, but nothing that the sander's not going to take out. And all of this is going to be hidden by body panels anyway, interior panels. An invaluable tool in the workshop, though. Very little work has to be done to that edge just to true it up. You may have to do a little bending, but nothing major. That right there probably did it. Pretty close. A little more shrinking right in here. And all that's doing is bunching that metal together with these jaws. And the stretcher will spread it out. So we'll have to do some shrinking right here with the hammer and dolly, and some shrinking right here with the hammer and dolly. And then she's in pretty good shape, ready to have the circles cut out and then be welded into the car. Okay, so we're going to shrink this. Instead of using a dolly, I want to use the anvil of the vise to have a nice solid flat surface, and I'm going to use this Eastwood shrinking hammer. So I don't know if you can see it, but this surface here has a little bit of a cone in it, and that helps bunch it's just ever so slightly. And then this surface kind of looks like a meat tenderizer, but it's got a bunch of stippled points that will help push the metal together, and that's what we're going to use to shrink this up. So yeah, we're going to get this on there where we want it, and then took a lot of it out, but we've still got this area here. I just need something deeper, so we all had to go a different route with it. This area right here we should be able to get to. I took care of that. So we just have this area here, and then a little bit in here, and a little bit in here. But I'm not going to worry too much about these, because all this gets a interior upholstery panel across it. So none of it's ever going to be seen, but I do want it at least flat so it sits in the opening correctly. I'm just holding a flat surface dolly behind it. Okay, so we're pretty straight along here, looking down that line. So, but when you turn it this way, we've got a curve right here and a slight curve right here. So we're going to shrink it just a little bit right here and a little bit right here to straighten this line out. And then the panel's pretty much ready to go into the car at that point. So And it doesn't take much. Maybe 4 or 5 pushes of the pedal, light pushes, not heavy pushes. I don't know if you can see that that's almost gone now. If you get too aggressive with it, it'll go the opposite direction. See there? Now she's straight. I need just a little bit right in here. So I'm just going to do some light presses. That should be enough. Not perfect, but it's pretty daggum close. Pretty dang close right there. So I've got the next piece set up here, floor pan, just to kind of show you. It's just a plywood press buck on this one, and we got the back of it set with the line and the floor pan. I just want to make sure our lines are in our groove here. Make sure everything's straight. And then we'll end up doing some stretching. We'll end up stretching in between a little bit. I'll pre-stretch these next two, so it'll take up all that slack. But as you can see, now we have the rib of the floor where it's supposed to be. And look from the back side. So we're going to stretch this area and this area. So we're going to come over here to the stretcher and pre-stretch a little bit in here. Take up the slack. I'm going to pre-stretch in this one a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do this next piece in the vise. Let's get our steel blocks in here. You need enough room for the panel to slide in. What I'm going to do is put just enough tension on the vise to hold it, where I can still kind of adjust it a little. And we're going to look for our lines here. Try to get our lines lined up where I marked it. Looks pretty close right there. And then we're just gonna crank the vise. And it takes a lot. We can also do this with a mallet or a hammer, which is probably what I'm going to have to do here because of how tight it is. Got some of it in. That gets us started. That was a little bit off the mark, so we'll make that adjustment anyhow. Right here. GoPro stop capture. GoPro stop capture. So I like to use 2-pound sledge or a 1-pound dead blow. This is actually a 2-pound dead blow, so either one works out real well for this. Okay, we are started in the right spot. Now it's just muscle through it. It's going to take several blows to get it down in there where we want it when you can't get it in the press. Put some oomph on it. Starting to get in there now. kind of see it starting to form. Doesn't look too bad. Not perfect, but again, it's all going to be covered with carpet. GoPro stop capture. So on the Pontiac, we have our wheel well built back in. We still have some finished work to do on the metal. The floor pan underneath has been repaired here, and we started the repair on the side going to the inside. I have our first section of floor pan is ready to go. As you can see, we've got it all formed up, have the floor pieces recessed in. We have it where it fits in pretty good here. It's ready to trim this back and line everything up, clamp it, and then cut everything to fit, and then start welding in. We'll have to clean and prime a lot of the metal pieces that are about to start going together, and then this piece here that's all rotted, there's the replacement for it that we made. As you can see, it's pretty close to factory. Not quite, but close. So yeah, that's where we're at on that.